What will happen tonight in Game 2? Rangers, Panthers. We'll discuss that and much more right here on PuckTime, powered by WagerTalk TV. Guys, happy Friday and welcome in. I'm Andrew. I've got Carmine with me. Carm is fresh off a huge 5% NHL winner. Carm, I'd say overall on the show yesterday, we had a great day. I was happy about that under 2.5 Dallas Stars team total, about plus 145. Mentioned that one on the show. Some player props came in, but I'm sure you're feeling great about that big winner, man. How are you, Carm?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I was out last night at a friend's house, and Prez showed up a little later on. We are playing some poker, and he had the game on for me, of course. So I was watching it there, and then listening to Prez yell as well at the TV. And then I left at the end of the first overtime. I'm like, let me get home in time for the second overtime. It's only like 15 minutes away. Pulled into my driveway while listening to the game on the radio, and that's when McDavid scored. So I was pretty happy about it um, because the Andrew. We're gonna get to this game real quick, but you watch that game, and I thought Edmonton played extremely good game early on. Dallas were getting a ton of shots on Skinner. I wasn't happy about that, and then um, two deflections. There was goals off deflections. Those are always kind of the worst. Two skate deflections cost the Oilers 2-0 lead, but they did get one off a deflection themselves when Draisaitl pretty much had an open net to himself. And then that 4-minute penalty to start the OT to McDavid, and he was adamant that it wasn't his fault, but you have to control your stick. At the end of the day, control your stick. Even if the guy's got his hands on it, you try and pull it away, and you high stick him, and you draw blood. It's 4 minutes. But he made good. Justice was served. He scored the game winner, and I'm happy. I'm happy for my clients. A lot of them reached out, so I'm very happy that they won, and we got a good plus money price. We'll see what game 2 holds. But I want to get to this game, Andrew. We saw what happened in game 1. I thought, and I'm still of the thought that from what I saw, putting analytics aside for a second, Andrew, from what I saw on the game, Florida played quite possibly the perfect road game in game 1. They went there. They gave the Rangers very few opportunities, at least through 40 minutes, where they only had 12 shots on goal. They did get 11 shots on goal in the third period when they amped it up a bit. The power play did not work in the very few opportunities that they were in that game. But a couple breakaways, you score in one of those breakaways, and the game completely changes. I talked about the analytic numbers, Andrew, and a couple sites have updated the numbers from that game. One being Natural Stat Trick. The XG numbers in that game were 3.25 to 2.83 for the New York Rangers. So Florida did what they had to do. They generated pretty much uh, three expected goals. They scored 3 goals. One was an empty netter. But the Rangers, 3.25, and they're held off the score sheet. They just could not complete what they needed to do. They could not finish. And they really have to bounce back. That was their first loss. That was their first back-to-back loss in 12 tries, 11 previous losses at home. Their next home game was a win. So that's their first one. I want to bounce back with the Rangers here. I think that they have to play quite possibly a perfect game to beat this Florida team. I'm just wondering, Andrew, and then you can jump in on this one when I'm done, but um, I'm not trying to disrespect the Florida Panthers because they're a great team, and we've talked about they're playing extremely well. Is that I just feel this is a zigzag kind of series, and I'm not betting on a zigzag because that's not it's not a handicapping tool. But this is one that I feel is going to go 1-1 down to Florida and could come back to New York tied at 2 after 4 games. We'll see what the Rangers bring tonight. Bobrovsky, they've got to find a way. They got to create some a little bit of havoc in front of that goal. They're not used to doing that. Maybe you get Rempe in front of there and you see what happens, but they need to create a little bit of havoc. They're big guns, guys like Panarin, Trocheck, Zibanejad. They have to show up tonight. Kreider. These guys have to put it on the line tonight. You can't go back to Florida down 2-0. And my thought was, when I went off on a bit of a tangent, Andrew, is You think this is the game the Rangers have to win, but if you remember last year when Florida played Carolina, we kept thinking Carolina will win the next one. Don't worry about it. Carolina's a good team. They'll win the next one. And Florida just rolled them. Kind of like what the Rangers did to Carolina this season or in the last playoff round. So it's a tough one here, but you got to lean the Rangers. And I think you go to another first period play here, much like I was talking about in the Edmonton game yesterday. Go to the first period here because I think at the end of the day, if they're going to win this game, they got to get out. That first goal is so important. We saw it last night. Even though it did go to overtime, the Oilers jumped out on top. And when you're the dog in a series, you want to jump out, and they're the dog now in this series. They're plus 250 to win this series. So give me the Rangers first period. I think that one gets there. I think they get out on top of Florida early and send us back to the Sunshine State tied at 1.
All right, looking for the Rangers to not only win the game, but also get off to a really good start in the first period. Those first period wagers have been good bets, Carm. I found that you see a lot of people in the NBA, handicapping the first quarter with a team that's off a rough outing, looking at them not to come back in the full game the next one, just the first quarter or first half even. Very similar thought process here with the Rangers to come out at home where they have been such a great team in front of their home crowd and put forward a good effort. Carm, I always say throughout the regular season and even throughout the playoffs as well, I would say that one win, whether it's you win 7-0 or you win 2-1 in triple overtime, it still counts for one win, right? But when I was looking at this game early this morning, what really came to my head was that this Florida Panthers team shut out the New York Rangers. We can talk about breakaways. We can talk about power plays. We can talk about other stuff. They shut them out. And, what really kind of appeals to me, because I agree with you. I'm kind of leaning towards the New York side. I do think they can tie this up at 1-1. But with it being 5.5 as the total shaded towards the under, I'm going to go back to the team total pathway. Except for yesterday, I bet an under. Today, I'm going to go back with the over. I'm seeing minus 130 for the team total, up and over 2.5 for the Rangers. And I understand some people might say to me, well, you're going to get minus 110 to 115 on the money line. Why are you going to play the team total here? And the fact is, Carm, Shesterkin's a great goaltender, but I think that he's going to let a few in as well, potentially. I think the Rangers need, and I mean need, to score at least 3 goals to win a game against the Florida Panthers. I really do. So for me, it's just isolating one team. It's isolating one team's power play, isolating one team's top 6, one team's offense to bounce back and get back on track in this series and tie things up. The star players to show up, the defensemen to jump into the rush as I expected them to happen in game 1. I had the over in the last game, and based on how Florida played offensively, I was feeling pretty good. But you need 2 to tango in order to cash an over ticket. We've now seen 2 overs and 2 road teams to start off the series. Carm, you've been mentioning it here on PuckTime about the success of the road teams. Well, road teams and also the road teams are dogs. Florida, of course, and Edmonton taking game 1 of their series. But take a look at some quick stats here for game 1, 27-24 shots advantage for the Panthers. Slight face-off advantage for the Panthers, but not anything too big. Power plays, 0 for 3 for Florida, 0 for 2 for the New York Rangers. So a combined 0 for 5, guys. That didn't help my over on Wednesday night. We'll see if that gets these teams some goals here in this one. As far as the hits are concerned, 38-27 in favor of the Florida Panthers. Block shots were about even. When I look at that, the biggest one that sticks out to me, Carm, is actually the hits category. You look at the matchups, like I keep saying this, and I know I'm driving New York Rangers fans nuts when I say this, but they played the Washington Capitals and then the Carolina Hurricanes. It might not be as soft of a schedule as the Boston Celtics getting to play the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's close to it. It really is. I mean, look, the Hurricanes are unbelievable. They're one of the Cup favorites. I get it. But offensively, they're not really blowing anybody away. Aggressively, they're not blowing anybody away with, 5 hits every 10 minutes. They're just not doing it. I think it's a wake-up call. It was kind of like, okay, this is the team we're playing now. We can go look at film, get ready for the physicality. The New York Rangers are physical as well. They've got the Trouba train, Jacob Trouba, who's very physical. You've got a bottom 6 full of veterans that are very physical as well. And Kreider and those guys, the top guys, are not afraid to be physical too. So I think that in summary here, Carm, it might be a good thing that they lost 3-0 versus losing a tight game, let's say 4-3. Sometimes you almost want that gut punch in game one to kind of give you a reality check, tell you to, hey, don't get too ahead of yourselves. You're in a series now, and you got to bounce back here at home. No team wants to lose both games at home, Carm, so I'm going to rock with the over 2.5 team total. And if you shop around, guys, you can find a lot different prices on these. I'm seeing, FanDuel has minus 120, 125. DraftKings has 130. I've even seen 135s. So make sure you shop around. Depending on where you shop, you can find the best price here, Carm. So sounds like we both like the Rangers in a certain capacity, Carm. I want to ask you, how do you feel about what I said there about maybe it's a good thing they got kind of embarrassed in game one? I mean, we're not inside the room. We're not psychologists. But at the same time, sometimes I think it can be a good thing to get embarrassed like that.
Oh, listen, you don't finish the season with like 115 or 116 points without losing some games, and some of them you're not going to be thrilled with. They only lost, like I said, going into the postseason, they only lost 11 games at home and always followed it up with a win in their next home start. They didn't do it this time. They were never shut out at home. In those 11 games, there were no shutouts. This is the first time they've been shut out on home ice. So, that's, it's the thing about Andrew. There's always like sort of the little angel on one side of me and the little devil on the other shoulder. And the angel saying, listen, we're going to bounce back. We're going to send it back to Florida at 1-1. And then the devil, you know what he's saying to me? He's saying, maybe this Florida team is a team of destiny. I remember how many people got on my case when I was touting the St. Louis Blues in the playoffs. And I just said they seem like a team of destiny. They've been playing playoff hockey since January 1st, and they went on and won the cup. And sometimes a team just gets on a roll. Florida seemed to do that last year, but injuries, as you said, caught up to them. There are no injuries right now with this team. They're playing extremely well, but this Rangers team has been resilient all year long, and you just have to feel. I went in with the mindset that this was going to be at least a 6-game series, and game one didn't change that. Yes, it was a 3-0 final, 1 goal into an empty netter. Shesterkin played extremely well. Bobrovsky played even better. But can Bobrovsky replicate that game tonight? He's going to have to. And then even if he does, that might still not be enough if the Rangers have to come out. Because if the Rangers have 12 shots on goal through 40 minutes of play tonight, they are heading back to Florida down 2-0 in this series. So get some pucks at the net, get some rebounds, get somebody in front of the net. I know it's easy to say and hard to do, but it's what they have to do. That hasn't been their makeup for most of the season because they've been pretty much a hardworking team and a finesse team, but they're going to have to change the way they play in the series. And similar to what they did against Carolina, because Carolina was a little bit physical in that series, and they were able to pretty much roll them in 5 games. So we'll see what they bring tonight. One prop, Andrew, I'm going to throw at you, and I threw this one up on the WagerTalk site, and it's also a client play, a very small client play, but I took Igor Shesterkin over 28.5 saves tonight. So 27 shots, I think, in the last game for Florida. But this is a Florida team that has averaged 32.5 shots on goal in the playoffs this year, and in a playoff season in which we're seeing a lot of very low shot totals, especially in the Vancouver series, where I think they set a record for the lowest amount of shots in a series. But 32.5 shots on goal they're averaging. If you take away the opening series against Washington, who didn't really offer any type of a fight against the Rangers, so take away those 4 games, in the 6 or 7 preceding games, against Carolina. That's right, they beat Carolina in 6. But in the 7 preceding games, or 7 games to follow, Bobrovsky, um, Shesterkin has averaged 32.7 saves per game across those 7 games. So Florida are going to get some pucks on goal. I don't see a complete reversal of what we saw in Game 1, where it's Rangers dominating and Florida not getting any shots. They're going to get theirs. So with that said, I like the Igor Shesterkin over 28.5 saves, and you can find that over at DK.
I like it, Carm. I do. I think we're going to see a little bit more here tonight as far as action, and I think that he's going to continue getting shots against him. So he'll have to be big for them. But I will say, while you were saying that, as much as I agreed, I have been looking at some of these props, and we'll have a couple guys here commenting about it. Is it worth it to start just looking at these unders? I keep shouting out Andy Lang because that was his thing that led him to so much success during the regular season, betting unders. Carm, the books are simply not adjusting. They're throwing out numbers as if it's regular season games. They're not adjusting. Let's look at the Oilers and Dallas game last night. I actually didn't end up playing really props for too many props. I had a couple of the ones that I mentioned on the show, and that's about it. But if anybody had shots on goal props, you're pretty happy that game went to double overtime, right? But overall, when you look at that game, at one point, I think there were like 13 shots on goal for the Dallas Stars, 14 shots on goal for the Edmonton Oilers. When you look at it right now, there's just so much less time, not nearly as much space out there. The guys are kind of looking for the perfect play. And when that happens, it makes them not shoot the puck as much. So we got a comment coming in here from Cheney saying Zibanejad point with Rangers win, or do I just take the Rangers win? Carm, I'll answer that one and just say, let's not get greedy here. If the Rangers were minus 170, maybe you can throw on Zibanejad to get a point. But personally, I'm not really a fan of you going the same game parlay route if you don't have to in a situation like that. I will say he will need to be big for them, and he very well could get a point if they have a victory. In fact, I do think it's possible. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't throw in a point prop with a team that's already at the pick'em price there, Carm. So we've got that one, and then we have Parker, the underbetter, talking about Philip Hurdle under 1.5 shots plus money of ice time. And that's what I've been talking about, is the ice time for some of these guys. It's been huge. I mean, a lot of players, just like it hasn't been the same, and the thing is, whether you've been a big time player like Zibanejad going under, he's gone under 2.5 shots, Mika Zibanejad, in 5 straight games. Adam Fox has gone under 0.5 point in 5 straight games. Some of these guys, Carm, people are so used to seeing have continuous success, are just not having that success with their shots or their points because the Rangers scored 3 or 4 goals per game during the regular season. Now it's just not as much. So the only guy that's really been a mainstay that I would recommend people to bet the over for with the New York Rangers, Vincent Trocheck. Trocheck just continues to be a great, great player. And Adam Fox, although he's not getting points, over 1.5 shots on goal at minus 135 has been a really good bet for him. And Brandon Montour shots on goal has been a really good bet. But Carm, I have a feeling you'll have the same mindset as me. Do you agree that if you're going to bet these player props here, I think you might as well not get greedy? You don't nearly need a same game parlay when the price is minus 110, would you say?
Yeah, no, you don't need it. At this price, you don't need it. And think about how you'd feel if the Rangers won and the shot prop didn't hit. You'd be like, man, I should have just stuck with the Rangers on that one. So, you focus on too many things because then you're watching the game, and let's say hypothetically, the Rangers are winning the game, and now you're focused on a player prop in order to complete a wager, and you're getting frustrated because he's not getting any shots on goal or what have you. So I would just avoid it. The price, as you said, Andrew, you're absolutely correct. At minus 110, it's like betting any other sport where you're laying like a spread, and then your vig is minus 110. You bet the team, and that's it. So if they win, you cash. No need to get fancy. I think that's what sometimes in the long run ends up hurting your bankroll. If you're in this for entertainment, then go for it. Absolutely. If you're not worried about losing the money because you're in for it for entertainment, go for it. But if you're in this for as a long-term investment, you want to try and build your bankroll, you want to try to make some money to eventually get to that point where your bets get a little bit bigger, your unit sizes or everything get a little bit bigger in the sense of you're making more money and you're happy about it. You've got to curb down on the parlays and such. So um, some people will just sometimes look, Andrew, at a card and see, all right, there's let's just take these three minus 400s, put them together and get a minus 150 and bet that. And ultimately one of them loses and you're like, why did I even do this? So it is, if you're not, and I think Andy Lang said it once before, if you're not researching the play, then, and you're just looking at the price, then you're not putting in your homework and you're likely going to lose. So, Andy's very smart at that kind of stuff. Andrew. But we'll see what happens tonight. Again, it's not having the overreaction to game ones because we saw it in the first two opening rounds. Um, Winnipeg scores seven, in a 7-6 win in game one against Colorado, and everyone's like, they're just going to roll this team. And what does Colorado do? They win four straight games in that series. We saw Dallas lose the first couple of games and come back and beat Vegas. So it's going to happen. Teams will lose the first game. You got to kind of draw a line through it and watch the game, look at the analytics, and say to yourself, can I come back with this team that lost game one and game two? And just and you go from there. But as far as that goes, Andrew, it's those two little people on my shoulders, man. I'm not having a psychotic episode or anything, but one is telling me Florida could be a team of destiny, and the other one's like, nah, man, the Rangers tonight, they got to even this series up.
Well, we'll put it this way. It is key, of course, to get the first win of the series, right? I mean, the Oilers should be happy right now. The Panthers should be happy. And more importantly, they didn't just get the win they got of the first win of the series. They got a win on the road, which is always huge. They have a chance, to steal home ice potentially in this series here, Carm. And I'll just say, based on what you said there, I couldn't agree more about building the bankroll. But I'll be honest, like I think that I punch in a parlay. NFL Sunday, I'm putting an underdog parlay in. I'm putting in touchdown scorers slips. I'd be lying to everybody if I said I don't do that. But it's all about managing your bankroll and recognizing what your fun bets are and what your serious bets are. And that's just my opinion. Some people on WagerTalk would tell you can't make fun bets at all. Don't do that at all. I'm not going to say that. I like betting on home run props and things like that, but you just can't measure those the same as your regular bets. That's just my opinion. But I'm always texting Carm about, hey, I need one more guy to get two shots for a big win. So it makes it fun. But we've got our regular plays here. Carm, before we wrap the show up, I just want to circle back. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I've really been interested in these underplays. And, nobody likes betting unders, right? Nobody likes betting player prop unders. You look at the NFL every Sunday during the NFL season, every podcast, every show, people like to talk about overs. Even for me, it's like you feel like you can find a guy to do better every week than you can find a guy to do worse, But I find in the NHL playoffs, you can really look at it. It's a 21-man roster out there. Sometimes they carry 22, 23 on their team, but they're putting out 21 guys. Like, you've got guys that are so well known, as I mentioned, like Zibanejad going under 2.5 shots on goal in 8 of his last 10 games. So, if you've got a team that has 17, 18, 19 shots, let's say we're nearing the end of the third period, realistically, if you're asking one guy on the team to get 3 shots, that's a good chunk of those shots. You've got some other guys that might get 3 or 4. All of a sudden you're asking for 2 guys to get 7 out of the 18 or 19 shots. It might not happen. And so I think it's just so important to look at the playoffs as a different type of playing field versus the regular season. If you want to look at a plus money one, Lindell from the Panthers, kind of a depth player there, plus 114, under 1.5 shots, 7 of his last 10 games. He has hit that prop. And here's one that you like, Carm, your favorite player on the Rangers, Artemi Panarin. He's a shooter. The guy's a shooter. He's not passing the puck around, okay? He's not getting the puck with the purpose of passing. Even money, he is 65% long stretch, not recording an assist. And you're actually getting a plus 100 price on that. Every team has that guy that just shoots. The guy that's not really going to hold on to it and pass the puck around. I feel like that's Panarin. His job is to shoot the puck. But overall, Carm, I know I kind of asked you this already, but, at this point, should people really be aware? And maybe I'm overreacting. You tell me. But at this point in the conference finals, should we just mostly be looking at unders for players?
Yeah, you see how the way the series plays out, Andrew, sort of game by game. But again, it's not the overreaction. I think the Rangers are fully aware that they needed to get more shots on goal. As far as we're talking shot, I'm sort of pivoting to shot props. And some of these guys are going to get their shots. You talked about Trocheck, and Trocheck's a guy that I had to play on him in game one, and he ended up with 3 shots, so he went over his total, and he sort of seems to land on 3 and 4 all the time. I think he's done it in 8 of 11 games in the playoffs this season. So you look at those guys. Panarin's got to be better. He's a guy that, especially, the numbers I think were down as well too, because we expected, or at least I expected, there to be some power plays in game one for the Rangers. They didn't get any power plays. I think there was only 1 or 2 calls against Florida in that game. The first couple win against the Rangers. If you're not getting power plays, you're not. Those 3.5 player props are shot props are very tough to hit, because these are guys like Zibanejad and Panarin who shoot pucks, who get a lot of those shots on power play. So we're going to need some of those tonight. And this is why I think the Rangers, I'm not saying deviate from how you guys have played all season long or in the playoffs thus far, but they got to get a little more physical. I'm just hoping that this team can do that and bring it to them. Get under Tkachuk's skin, get guys in front of the net, so that when there is when a whistle is blown and you get sort of that pushing back and forth, you make it uncomfortable. You let them know, hey, we're going to be here in front of the net all game long for the next 60 minutes or more if needed. So that's pretty much it, Andrew, as far as that. The Panarin one's the important one, that I'm looking at. I think his shot prop is at 3.5 minus, I think it's minus, whatchamacallit, minus, or no, plus 115. So I'm just removing a guy from the channel here, just to let you guys know. This guy's a troll. He's one of those guys that, he squeegees for 3 or 4 bucks a day, and then goes and spends it on 18 team parlays. I call him Burger King. We won't even give you his name. He's gone from the channel. Anytime he recreates a new name, we're just going to toss him. He's not a puckster. He's not a client. And even if he was a client, these guys can't come in here and troll and disrespect you guys in the chat as well too. We're going to kick them out. That's just the way it is. Andrew, I like the Panarin one, over 3.5 shots on goal, plus 114. I'm going to have a veal sandwich today. Instead of extra mushrooms, I'm going to ask for extra bread for the bread man today. What do you think about that? I'm going to load up on some carbs.
What? It correlates, Carm. Panarin to not get an assist, but Panarin to get 4 shots. Those work together. Let's have this guy not pass the puck one time tonight. Just all shots like Lil Jon in a music video. We're taking shots here tonight and looking for the bread man to get it done. All right, guys. That's it for tonight. You can find some videos, some free plays, all kinds of action for tomorrow's game, Oilers and Stars. Maybe Carmine and I will tweet out some player props or some free plays for that one. But thanks for being here with us all week long here on PuckTime. I've got a package going right now, a good special, AM30 Day. It's a great special going right now. It's going to get all sports, all plays that I release, $199 for the entire next month. CFL, MLB, NHL, NBA. Hell, we're even 2-0 in the WNBA to start off the season, just following the market and making some wise bets here. So join me using that promo code AM30Day. Get a huge save there, huge savings. $199 will get you the next month. And honestly, Carmen, I mean, the CFL season, we're going to have at least 2 or 3 plays a week. Player props are pretty much fully now back. They're here in the CFL. So we're going to be doing CFL player props now for the first time with clients. Last year, it was a thing that I mostly just tweeted out. But we'll see where that takes us this year, Carm. But what do you have going this weekend for clients?
Andrew, I'm looking forward to. First of all, I'm looking forward to CFL. You did extremely well in CFL last season, especially those 5% plays. You really killed it. You're going to be in town. I'm taking you. I've got a box at the Blue Jays game, July 21st. You're coming to that game with your dad. A bunch of friends are coming to that, so that's going to be a good one. And we're going to watch with Rob Braley, who's our insider on the CFL show. We're going to watch the Hamilton Tiger Cats against I don't own them, my Toronto Argonauts. I'm looking forward to going to watch that game. I'm going to walk into Hamilton wearing an Argo shirt. Listen, it's the most despised team in Hamilton is Toronto. It's such a rivalry, and you walk in there with that jersey, you're liable to get beaten up unless it's Squeegee Boy, and this guy couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. But anyways, Andrew, as far as what we have up today, one soccer play this afternoon, 3 plays on the card. I did give the NHL card tonight. I did give you one of them, which is the saves prop on Igor Shesterkin. And this is the final weekend of soccer in Europe, to the big leagues, which is Italy's Serie A and Spain's La Liga. They're closing out this weekend. Germany, France, and England, the Premier League, closed out last weekend. Also, the FA Cup. I have a free play video on the FA Cup. You'll find it on the WagerTalk platform. Great deal. Get a 3-day all access using the coupon code 3day20, and you get $20 off a 3-day all access and get all plays NHL throughout the weekend, MLB, soccer, everything is there. Looking forward to it. You guys in the chat, man, love you guys all. You guys are hilarious. Sean Alvarez, thanks for popping in there as well too. And so for myself, Andrew McInnes, and Dan, our producer, this is Puck Time. We'll see you on Monday.